Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to my kitchen. This is Cooking with Joel. Today is Monday, May 15th, and you guys just finished the lamb chop series, and tonight we're actually having lamb chops. Again, we haven't had lamb chops in a while because we're trying to cut out the red meat that we eat to once a week or just a couple of times a month versus nightly. So I'm not going to do the lamb chop video like I would normally do a Cooking with Joel. Instead, I'm going to make roasted Brussels sprouts to go with the lamb chops. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. The lamb chops, you've seen the videos for that. That's going to be self-explanatory. You can go back and see those videos. But what we also are going to do is we're going to do a salad tonight, and we're going to do it differently than what we normally do. Normally it's lettuce, vegetables, stuff, but we're going to spice it up a little bit, and we're going to add cranberries, a little bit of raisins, and some almonds to it, and make it a really unique salad. We're also going to get some different lettuce to go into the salad, so it's not the same boring romaine lettuce that we always eat. So stay tuned a little bit later on. It's only 4:10. We'll be cooking about maybe 5:30, or probably about 6. So stay tuned and follow me as we do roasted Brussels sprouts with Parmesan cheese and a phenomenal salad. Okay, hi all, welcome to my kitchen. Like I said in the earlier portion, I'm making lamb chops tonight, but we're not focusing on lamb chops because there's already a few videos and you just watched the video on Monday the 15th, which is the day I'm filming this next one. So I'm not going to show you the lamb chop video, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my lamb chops ready. What we're going to focus on is we're going to focus on the salad portion and the roasted Brussels sprouts that we're going to have with. And if you'll just give me a second, I'm just putting a rub on my lamb chops right now, and these are nice size. Like I said, if you're wondering where I get my lamb chops from, 9 out of 10 times I get them from my local Costco. Sometimes I'll get them at my local grocery store, but they would have to be on a really, really good sale for me to pick up quite a few. And Costco has pretty good meat if you've never tried it. I've gotten other things at Costco. That's where I get my briskets from, because brisket can be through the roof. So I'm going to put my lamb chops in the microwave. I've already lit the grill. That's done. Now, to make the Brussels sprouts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move you guys down so you're going to be able to see this. This is going to take a little bit of time. Brussels sprouts take about 35 to 40 minutes to bake or to roast. So you're wanting to, if you're going to do this with meal, and I'm going to move you guys up so you're actually seeing me. If you're doing this with a meal, you're going to want to start your Brussels sprouts ahead of time because they're going to take the longest. The lamb or steak or pork chops, depending on how you cook it, are going to take a lot less time. Now, when would I normally serve Brussels sprouts? Well, Brussels sprouts pairs very well with red meat. It does pair well with pork, although I don't usually have it with pork, but you could have roasted Brussels sprouts. Last night I actually had it with a piece of salmon. For Mother's Day, we went out for dinner. I had salmon. My husband had some barbecue. He had chicken and some sausage, which is fine for his potassium levels. But what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the Brussels sprouts. And the first thing you want to do with your Brussels sprouts, I'm going to set you guys down for a second, is you're going to want to wash them really well. And I'm just taking my colander out. And I'm not going to make probably all of this. This is quite a bit. I'm going to show you how many Brussels sprouts I have there. There's a lot of Brussels sprouts. So I'm just going to you're going to go through it. Anyone that looks flabby or doesn't feel firm, you might want to toss it. My husband, like I said earlier, is not a huge fan of Brussels sprouts, but he might actually eat a couple of them made this way, and they're very good made this way. I should laugh because they're much better the way that I make them versus the way my grandmother made them. And my grandmother used to boil them, and she'd boil them until they became almost mushy and soggy. And I never liked them that way because I thought that they tasted terrible. And I didn't know you could make Brussels sprouts any other way than boiling them, which is why I never used to make them. So what you're going to want to do with your Brussels sprouts is you're just going to want to run them out underwater. Now, if you're pressed for time and you're like, oh my God, I forgot to start the Brussels sprouts in the oven, fear not. You can also pre-boil them, or you can steam them. If you steam them or boil them, only boil them for about 6-7 minutes. That's all you need to do, and let them fully cool, and then you can put them in the oven. They'll take about 25 minutes in the oven if you do that. So what we're going to do, I'm going to move you guys over here. I'm going to put you guys down for a minute so you can see this. And you're not going to necessarily see me on camera, but you are going to see what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go get my baking sheet, because what we're going to do is we're going to bake these in the toaster oven versus the oven. And again, having a toaster oven is great because there are so many things that you can actually do with your toaster ovens that don't necessarily require using a main oven. And we're going to roast these. We're going to roast these on about 380. And like I said, they're going to take about 40 minutes. So I'm going to put you guys down and show you what we're going to do. Oh, I forgot to grab the pan that I'm going to bake these in. Okay, so the Brussels sprouts, you want to get rid of the end piece of the Brussels sprout, and any outer leaves that fall off, you want to discard those. You don't want those. What you're going to do is you're going to take your Brussels sprouts and you're going to cut them in half. And you're going to cut them halfway down. So that's half of Brussels sprout. This is what the whole Brussels sprout looks like. And I'm just using a paring knife. It's very easy to do this. And you just want to make sure also that you wash your Brussels sprouts if there's any like dirt on there. Sometimes they have a little bit of dirt. And I might not do all of these because this is going to make quite a bit of Brussels sprouts. And I did actually have Brussels sprouts last night, but this is a good way to try something different for a vegetable that makes it really, really good. And we're going to add some cheese to this, but not right away. We're going to do this at the very end. So for a family of 4, probably a half a pound of Brussels sprouts is more than enough to do. And you don't have to get crazy with your Brussels sprouts. You also don't want to overcrowd the pan when you're roasting them. So, and of course, the bigger Brussels sprouts are going to take longer to cook. The smaller ones are going to take shorter amount to cook. And we don't have Brussels sprouts all that often because I'm usually the only one that eats them. I'm gonna only do a couple more. I'm not gonna do much because you don't want to. You also don't want to get your roasting pan too full or too thick. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to leave those actually for next time. That's pretty much a good portion. I may do one or two more Brussels sprouts just so we can each have a few. And there we go. Okay. So, what you're going to do with these outer leaves is dump them. They're really no good for anything other than soups or anything. And I've never really heard of anybody putting Brussels sprouts in soup, although I'm sure you can. So I'm going to dump those out. And what you want to do is while you're preparing your Brussels sprouts is you want to get your oven preheated. I'm doing 380 degrees. You could do 375. You could even shoot up to 425. If you do 425 though, you want to keep an eye on it so that your Brussels sprouts don't burn. So with your olive oil, what you're going to do is you're just going to coat your Brussels sprouts and you're going to kind of toss them so that they all get coated. And you can lightly pepper and salt your Brussels sprouts. You can also, if you want, add a little bit of garlic to them. I'm only going to sprinkle a little bit of salt. I'm not going to go crazy with the salt. And that's all I'm going to do. And that's what your Brussels sprouts are going to look like. If you want to add a little bit of fresh garlic, you can do that. If you want to add a little bit of balsamic and vinegar, although I would do the balsamic and vinegar probably towards the end of the cook where you're going to coat them. And you don't want your Brussels sprouts to be too brown, but you want them to be nice and soft and roasted. You also want them kind of on the crispy side. So my toaster oven just beeped. Let's throw these in. I'm just going to take you guys over to the toaster oven. I'm going to turn you guys so you guys can see this. And I'm just going to put these in for 40 minutes. Now, the one thing I would suggest is checking them at about the half an hour mark, just so that they don't get too done. You want to kind of keep an eye on your sprouts. At the end, what we're going to do is we're going to coat them in a little bit more olive oil, and we're going to sprinkle a little Parmesan Romano cheese on top. Don't go too crazy unless you really like cheese on your Brussels sprouts. They don't need to be overkilled in cheese, but it will add flavor to a boring vegetable, which Brussels sprouts kind of is the boring vegetable. You can also add a little bit of garlic, like I said, to this to make them more garlicky. But roasted Brussels sprouts is a really good thing. I'm going to stop the video and I'll be right back and we'll get started on the salad.